Hello students, welcome to AKS. In this video, we will discuss about the preamble to the Constitution of India. So, let me first read out the preamble for you. We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic and to secure to all its citizens justice of social, economic and political, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. In our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November 1949, do hereby adopt, enact, and give to ourselves this Constitution. So, having read about the preamble, now let us try to understand the implication of the preamble. When we discussed about the Constituent Assembly and the making of the Indian Constitution, we know that the preamble was based on the objectives resolution which was proposed by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. So, in the objective resolution, the sovereign, independent, republic Indian state was proposed under the objective resolution. So what is the significance of the preamble? Why do we need a preamble as such? See, every country has its own historical settings, culture, traditions, unique problems, unique hopes, and thus every country has its own constitution to fulfill the aspirations of the people. So primarily, what is the basic need for a constitution? If you understand the core concept behind the constitution, it is to fulfill the aspirations of the people. If a constitution is unable to fulfill the aspirations of the people, the progress of its people, the progress of its culture, it becomes redundant. So that is why we need a constitution. Now let us try to understand what is a preamble. Having understood what is a need for a constitution, now let us try to understand what is a preamble. Preamble is the philosophy. Preamble is the philosophy of the Indian people's traditions and hopes. It also symbolizes the socio-cultural and political values and hopes of Indian people. It symbolizes the socio-cultural and political values and hopes of the Indian people. So, there is a debate. There were some arguments that stated that the preamble is not a part of the constitution. However, some people argued that the preamble is very much part of the constitution. Now, let us try to understand whether this preamble is a part of the constitution or not. So, in the Beru Bari versus Union of India case of 1960, the Supreme Court ruled that the preamble is not a part of Indian Constitution. However, later in the year 1973, in the Kesavananda Bharati case, the Supreme Court ruled that preamble is very much a part of the Indian Constitution because it is the values in the preamble that are elaborated in the form of articles in the Constitution. Thus, the values in the preamble can be used to interpret the Constitution. Interpret the Constitution in case of ambiguity in understanding of the Constitution. Also, the Supreme Court ruled that preamble forms the basic structure of the Constitution. That is, the preamble is very much part of the Constitution and it forms the basic structure that is a core essence of the Constitution, and thus the preamble can be amended to enrich itself but to not abridge it. That is, the preamble can be amended to enrich but it shall not be abridged. Thus, the Supreme Court in the Kesavananda Bharati case once for all settled the fact that preamble is very much part of the Constitution and forms part of the basic structure of the Constitution. Now let us try to understand the features of the preamble. The preamble spells out the fundamental social, economic, political characteristics of the Indian state. So how do we know that? So we have already read the preamble, right? So in the preamble you have these basic terms like socialist, secular, sovereign and democratic, as well as republic. So these terms very much explain to us the characteristic, the fundamental characteristic of the Indian state, whether the Indian state is a socialist state, secular state, sovereign state, democratic state and republican state. The next important feature of the preamble is that the preamble defines the objectives that the Indian state should achieve. So what are the objectives that the Indian state should achieve, which is reflected in the preamble? In the preamble we saw that the Indian state seeks to achieve justice, liberty, equality, fraternity and integrity. So thus these are the objectives that are to be achieved by the Indian state which are mentioned in the preamble. Now let us try to understand each of the terms, each of the political, social, economic characteristics reflected in the preamble, as well as the objectives that the Indian state seeks to achieve, which is reflected in the preamble.